Here we go.
I'm Kayla.
I'm Jeff.
We're from Alpacas of Troy. We're homestead homies, and you're watching Off the Grid with Doug and Stacy.
Welcome to another exciting episode of Off Grid with Doug and Stacy, and today must be Field Trip Friday! Back by popular demand. Today we are going to a place that I think you guys are going to like. Getting these Field Trip Fridays under our belt. I hope you guys are enjoying them. Really? You're so talkative today.
I was watching the school bus approaching and we have to be careful.
Yeah, it was like all over the shoulder driving crazy.
Yeah, we're going. I've been looking forward to doing this one. We've had to postpone it a couple times and reschedule. And this one that we're going to, I think you guys are really going to like. Where we're going has a really neat story and they do a lot of neat things. So I'm really happy to go here.
So if you guys are been with our channel for a while, you know that we raised alpacas in the past. We had a bunch of them. That was her thing, not mine. Then we got rid of them because there's, high maintenance, and for us, it just wasn't an animal for the homestead that, was a good fit for us. But we do like the animals, and we value the fiber that they give. It's really good stuff to use.
And the manure is awesome.
Yeah, the manure is good too. The fiber is good for gloves and socks and all that kind of stuff.
And everything, yeah.
Pullovers and all that stuff. Where's your nice alpaca sweater thing that you got?
Well, it's a little hot today.
I know you're not wearing it today, but I'm used to wearing it. I haven't seen it in a while.
I'll wear it.
Yeah, we're looking forward to that. So you guys sit back, relax. Hope you enjoyed today's Field Trip Friday, and here we go. All right, Field Trip Friday, we're here. We're at Alpacas of Troy in Troy, Missouri. And this is the bottle man.
This is Jeff.
Howdy. Yeah.
This is his place. We actually have a relationship. When we first started looking into alpacas, we actually came to his place, talked to him about alpacas and all that stuff.
Yeah, when it was a glimmer in our eye.
Yeah, and then it turned out to be a thorn in our side. And actually, when we were getting rid of our alpacas, he came up the last year. We did shearing, and we actually sheared them together and everything, and then we ended up gifting him and letting them take the alpacas that we had left so they could come here, be with other alpacas, and have a good home. So,
and they are having a good home, because when we pulled up, we saw one of our boys
one of our pushy boys.
And he hasn't changed at all.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, I'll link that video right here. If you guys go back and watch that, you can see when I have him in the barn that I built for him, that because he was in trouble, he was causing a little bit of trouble. So
yeah, Christian and Lorenzo, we had the two, and Lorenzo would always boss Christian, and he's still doing it here with you.
Yeah, they can be a little trouble.
Yeah. So how long you been doing the alpacas now?
Oh, about 8-9 years.
8-9 years.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's 2008.
Yeah. Yep. So now you're getting ready to bottle feed right now. What's going on with that?
Yep. Well, it's really hot right now, and the moms have a kind of a hard time with upping their production and milk when it's this hot right away. Missouri, we get some pretty wide swings in heat, and so sometimes the babies get a little thirsty. So I like to feed them a little bit extra, not too much, like 1 bottle maybe a day, or maybe 2, depending on the baby. Just helps out the mom and keeps so that's what we're doing. We're going to bottle feed some babies
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, the pastures are really suffering right now. The ground's cracking. We probably mentioned this in an earlier video that, you know, we've had some pretty dry times the last month or two, and even at our house, the cistern waters, you know, we have to get a little more conservative. So LeGrands, if you're watching this video, when you guys come up, make sure you're very conservative on our cistern water.
Because yeah, we have to be really careful with it. And that's another reason we got rid of the alpacas, is because we don't have electricity, and you know, having fans to help cool them, we weren't able to do that. So that was like a big thing, with them overheating and all that. So.
Yeah. So I guess right now we'll go do some bottle feeding, show you guys how that process works, talk about his farm here, what he has going on, and
how many do you have right now?
Well, we fluctuate. I try to have about 150.
150.
I mean, at one time we had about 300. That for me, that was a lot of work on the alpaca side.
Right.
And mainly I make yarn, so I wanted to make sure and be able to have time for that. So so we reduced the herd to about 150, and that's been real manageable for me.
Yeah.
So.
And I think we're going to be able to have a peek at his yarn setup and how he harvests his fiber, and then kind of that process. So we're going to go feed the babies. So let's go.
Put your seatbelts on. Let's do it.
Helen! Cookie! Helen! Cookie! Helen! Cookie! I don't know I have no idea where they are. A lot of times I'll just set this here.
Not quite like my sheep calling, but
No.
they're going to come. You just wait a second.
I just have to, they're likely going to want to. Helen! Okay, they're coming now. Here's Helen.
Is that the one that you like a lot? This is
Cookie!
Cookie!
Cookie! I can see her. So, and then there's another boy, Excalibur. He's coming too.
Hi.
Cookie! This is Helen. She's a sweetheart. Most people don't know that they don't like to be touched on the top of the head, but they don't mind it on the neck. So this is hilarious, but this is her mother. Her mother never wanted to bottle feed her, never wanted to nurse her. I had to bottle feed her myself. Mom did not want to nurse her. This is Mom. She never, and she doesn't usually come. She wants
to see the visitors.
I don't know. She's just interested in us today. Her name's
little
Special
baby.
Princess,
Hi.
and that's Excalibur.
This one's Excalibur.
I think he's got a good chance of being a stud.
Yeah, look at how beautiful.
He's got some great sheen.
Yeah.
There's two types of alpaca. Stacey, if you want to hold that, you can feed Helen, and then I'll feed Excalibur. He's only been taking milk about a week and a half, just because it's been so hot. I wanted to start on him.
Yeah, he's got beautiful hair that girls would give lots of money for, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he's got some good sheen. His father is Zavi the Great. He's a gray boy, but you never kind of know what you're going to get. Yep. Cookie! Cookie's out there. I saw her. She put her head up and she wants to come. We're going to have to walk over to her because... Oh! Yeah.
So also you have the Great Pyrenees.
Yeah, that's Hunter. They protect against #1 killer of alpaca is domestic dog.
Yep.
So they run all the stray dogs off, which is really important. But, oh, here's Cookie. Yep.
Aw,
she's
like
quite
an
a
Oreo
looker.
Cookie, huh?
Yeah.
Are you done?
Yeah, Alpha Oreo cookie.
So your daughter, she helps feed, and so it's kind of like a whole family business, right?
That's right. Yep. Yeah. She also runs a market for us once a month, or once a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's got her 2 or 3 markets. She does, and yeah, we're at like 6 or 7 markets a week. That's how we sell our products.
Right.
We go into farmers markets.
Okay. So all over the area here.
Yep. Every farmers market in the St. Louis area we go to. I've got another one for her. That's because she drinks too. I mean, she's a little bit older. She could be weaned, but you know the alpaca. The moms don't wean the babies. Sorry, I'm just talking off camera here, but the moms don't wean the babies till they're about 10 months old, or even a year. So I figure I shouldn't either. So Helen's about 9 months old. Cookie's about 3 months old, and Excalibur's about 4. So that's she wants 4.
Cookie's hungry.
Sorry, Cookie. I just brought this along just to let me fill this up, girl. She's yeah. So she's a Surrey, and Helen is a Wakaya. There's 2 different types of alpaca. and they have different characteristics. The Surreys are a lowland alpaca, and the Wakaya are a. I'll borrow one of those just in case we need it. I don't know, but the Surreys are a lowland, and the Wakayas are a higher land, so they handle the cold weather a little bit better than the Surrey. The Surrey don't quite handle it quite as well, but in Missouri we're fine.
And the Surreys also look like they kind of have the long dreadlocks as they get older.
They do. Yep. These two girls are Wakaya, and 90% of the herd in the U.S. is Wakaya.
Yeah, that's what we had, was the Wakaya.
Yep. Well, okay, here we are. We're going to start the fiber processing part of the alpaca business. And we're a fiber farm, so all of our money comes from fiber. And what I have here is a blanket. I'm a shearer as well, and I advocate that alpaca owners learn to shear, because there's several different reasons why, but mainly you need to be able to keep that profit, and it's a revenue stream for you. If you know how to shear, you can shear for other people, you can shear your own animals, and you get to know the fiber a lot better. This is a really nice boy. His name is Sundance, and he is a super fine alpaca, and mainly after we shear him, this is all his blanket, but we need to go around and just check to see if there's any debris or anything that we don't want in the fiber. There's two parts of the fiber. There's the cut end, so this is where the shearer went. That was me, but this is the shorn part of the fiber, and on the back side you'll see that his fiber, this is what was outside. This is the outside part. So I usually will look for little pills and things that will cause blemishes in the yarn, and I look for debris, and this is called skirting. I go around the blanket. This is his blanket, and we also use the seconds. We use every ounce of fiber that comes off the alpaca. We share we don't throw anything away. We save the first, the seconds, and the thirds, and we have different products for each one of those. So I'm a big advocate of not leaving fiber on the animal.
Could you explain the difference between the first and the seconds and the thirds to the viewers?
The firsts are the blanket, so it's from the shoulder to the rear end of the alpaca, and it goes over their back, and it goes from about their midline on both sides. So it's like a blanket right over the top of the alpaca, and that's the best quality fiber that they're going to produce. That needs to go into yarn if they're a quality alpaca. Now then there's parts of the leg, from about the 3/4 up on the leg down to the to 1/4 of the leg. That's called seconds, and everything on their neck is also seconds, and that can be used very effectively. We actually make the same amount of money on that as we do on the yarn, except we put it in a different product. So you can do a lot of felted products with that. Dryer balls, it makes a fabulous dryer ball. Actually, seconds make a better dryer ball than firsts. So you're actually using the right product for that if you're making your dryer balls out of your seconds. So I've skirted this fleece. I've gone around. I've looked for any debris. I've looked for, like, here's a burr. I'm going to take that burr out because that's not going to do anything good for your fiber. So we're going to look for, and you can kind of feel as well. There's nothing else left in this that we would want to take out, and I've skirted all the way around. And if there's anything that looks like a second, I've taken it out. I want to leave my primary blanket here for yarn making. Okay, so after that, then we're going to go, we tumble it. So we want to get a lot of the dust and debris that the alpaca has rolled in. They don't have any natural lanolin or like a lot of oils in their fiber, so they use dust, to clean themselves. So they like to roll around in dust a lot. And so we want to blow that dust out because it saves the machinery and saves on processing time. So our next step from after skirting and after we've taken any debris, the more debris we take out, the better. It really saves in the long run. If you try to process it when you haven't pulled out the debris, you're going to make a big mess. So just pull out as much debris as you can, and then we tumble it. So we go over to the tumbler, which is right over here. So we're going to tumble the fiber, and it's going to blow all the dust and debris out of it so that we don't throw it through the machinery. So I'll go ahead and turn it on. And this is, I tumbled this a little bit, otherwise it'd be covering dust right now. takes 50–60% of the dirt out. After we tumble it, then we're ready to move on to what's called, it's a machine called the picker, and we're going to move over there now. So we're going to pick this, and this is important because there's a lot of dirt still left in this fiber, and if we don't pick the locks out, if we don't separate this out, the washer will not wash most of that dirt out. So we want to wash that out. So in order to do that, we need to pick the fiber. It gets a little bit loud, but we're going to go ahead and run it. And okay, so we're going to pick it.
It's like cotton candy.
Wow, look at that.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Wow, look at that.
Yeah,
It
that
looks like clouds.
Yep. And then we take that and we're ready to move it into the washer. But if we don't pick it, then we're not going to get all the dirt out. So that's in there. And now we head this way. Okay, here's our washer, and then this is where we put all that's in the room will go into each compartment. These particular washers are designed not to felt fiber. It's really important because if you put it into a regular washer and it goes through the cycle, the agitation cycle with the hot water, it's going to felt. So these go really slowly. Still uses about 120 degrees of water. Here's one that has finished the cycle, and it comes out like this. So this is ready to go out on our drying rack. So outside we have drying racks, and we just spread this out and we let it dry. So after we pick it, then we wash it, then we take it to the dryer. Okay, so after the drying rack, then we come to a machine called the Separator, and this is a really fabulous machine because as much genetic breeding as you can do with the alpaca, sometimes you just can't get it perfect. And there's something called guard hairs, and then there's secondary fibers. And secondary fibers is what makes really soft yarn. Guard hairs are usually, they're very sparse, they're throughout the blanket of the animal. With really good breeding, you can make the guard hairs very similar to the secondary hairs, but sometimes you end up with an animal that just has too many guard hairs. This machine takes those out. So when we run an animal through this machine, we just, on the back end, we get some really excellent fiber, and down in the bottom, we get collected the guard hairs, which we can actually do something with. We can put them in with those seconds that we talked about before, and we can make dryer balls. So it's not a bad thing. It's just to produce the best quality yarn, we want to take those guard hairs out. So so this we're going to run this real quick, and we'll see what comes out the back end. This is a black Surrey Alpaca blend. There's two types of alpaca. We get this fiber, which is, it's got the shine and the luster of the Surrey and the fluffiness of the wakaya. So it's really the best of both fibers. But I do find that you want to blend about 80% wakaya, 30% Surrey, or less. You can still get a nice sheen with 20% and 80% wakaya, 20% Surrey. But if you put too much suri in there, you're going to lose the memory of the wakaya. Wakaya is what would be similar to lamb's wool, where you have memory for knitted products like hats and scarves. So then let me turn this off and we'll go on to the next one. After the separator, then we move on to what's called the carder. This is the heart of the mill, and this takes your fiber that you have washed and picked and separated and everything. It's going to take
that was beautiful.
Yeah, it's going to take it into roving, and so it's going to, when we turn it on, we have to separate it very specifically into these blue marks. Otherwise, it will create inconsistencies in the end product of the roving, and inconsistencies will result in lumps in the yarn. So we have to be very meticulous in laying it out exactly perfect. So we're going to turn this on and we'll show you what comes out the back end, which is going to be our roving, which you can also make bats. If for fiber artists that want to use batting you can use it for many different things, but for felted animals or felted products of any kind, hats or whatever you want to felt, you can felt sheets.
Soap.
Yeah, you can felt soap. You can wrap it up with a bat. That's really good. We made dog beds and all kinds of and cat beds and all different types of felted. Anything you can do with felt, you can do with alpaca. But so this machine will make sheets of felt, and it will also make roving, which would be a long skinny strip, which is what we're going to show you now. And that's what the first step in making yarn. So we have to turn this big square thing into a long strip, and that's what we're going to work on right now. I'm going to turn this on and come around to the back and we'll see it working.
Looks like the inside of a clock.
So this is the first part of being yarn. It needs to be in this format in order to spin it. After it's in that, then we do go to a machine called the draw frame, and that draw frame aligns the fibers even more. These are pretty aligned, and if running this through a spinner, or you could hand spin this very easily, and this is usually when we're selling roving for hand spinners, it's usually in this format because you can control it a lot better. But when you're dealing with machinery and trying to make yarn with machine, they don't have the touch and the feel that you need, so we have to make it super consistent. So in order to make it super consistent, we have to go through another machine called the draw frame. And but if you were going to spin this by hand, this works great. And that's how we did it before. Before we had all this machinery, we had carders, very small carders, and we spun the yarn by hand, which was great, a lot of fun, just really a lot of work. That's all the fiber that I need to work on in the next year.
Yeah.
It will take me 1,000 hours to complete that fiber. So I hope to finish that by April, when I will start to shear again. Okay, so this is the roving that we've attached to the back end of the spinner. And this is what we use to spin our yarn now. And so we're going to turn that on. We're doing a little bit of gray roving right now, which is going to be yarn. And let me pull it out a little bit. I can give you a feel for what this yarn will ultimately look like, because this is a single ply, and then we're going to ply it together. But that will be the gray yarn that we will have out of this animal when we're done. This is a 2-ply sport weight yarn. There are several different weights. We do mostly sport weight. There's lace, sport, DK, worsted.
So when you say sport weight, what would they use that for? Maybe socks or?
Socks is a bit thinner.
Yeah.
Sport weight yarn, normally you're using it for mittens, hats, scarves. You can that's not that you couldn't use lace weight or fingerling for those same items, but they're going to be a lot thinner. So in the fall, we will typically do some fall weather wear that is fingerling, which is a lighter weight than sport. Right now we're gearing towards winter, so we're starting to do more sport weight or thicker. And I really like to do the thicker stuff, although I have to say that right now the thinner stuff is a little bit more in vogue. But I really like the DK and the sport weight because it showcases the softness of the alpaca really well. When you go really thin, you lose some of the softness. But if you go sport or even DK or worsted, it just blows up into a really soft yarn, and so I really like that the best. Anyway, this is, so we're going to see this run. This is a single ply, and then after that we will ply it together, which means we'll bring 2 of these into one and twist it together to make a yarn, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, and I push the limits of this machine, I will tell you, because I like to make creative yarn. I don't like to do the same thing all the time, but I do like to make lovely yarn. And so this is a 2-ply. I'll show you some. This is more of a DK, a little bit bigger than a sport, but came out really nice. Let's see if we can get into the light here. This is a so this was. Let me see if I can. So this is, there's some of just a standard sport weight, maybe a little bit heavier than a sport weight, really soft white alpaca yarn. So we're back here, and these are some of the products that we produce. This is a worsted weight yarn that is just super soft and fluffy. This is a brown alpaca fiber. So after we made the yarn, we put it into a skein like this. But here's another one, and different colors. There's 21 different colors of natural alpaca fiber, and there's 2 types of alpaca. There's Surrey and Wakaya. So when you calculate that, you have 42 different varieties without even dyeing it. But we also do a natural dyeing here. And we have a class twice a year. We do classes on natural dyeing. So this is dyed with a netto. So this is a yellow sport weight yarn that was dyed with the same thing that they used to dye cheese. And then this was dyed with turmeric. This is a turmeric dyed. So we like to do natural dyeing. So this is turmeric, and then this was red onion. Red onion skins gives us this green color. But we also do indigo, which is a nice blue color, same like blue jeans. A lot of blue jeans are dyed with indigo. And we make, oh, this is a combination. This is indigo. This hat we made was an indigo is the blue, and yellow. The yellow is a netto. So we do finished products as well. But everything comes off of our farm that we made here. So it all comes, we share it ourselves, and then we make the yarn, and then we make the product. And fingerless gloves. This was a fun project. I called this Budge Ripple, and this is a combination of about 7 different alpaca. It was a lot of fun to make, just like browns and blacks and all kinds of colors in there. I just got a little creative that day. But a lot of fun. We also do felted soap, which is those seconds I talked about. We use those. They have a nice scrubbing ability. They exfoliate, and there's natural homemade soap in there, and nothing with fragrances. It's all natural oils. We also have a line of cat toys, mice, it's a little mouse with a tail, and some rattle balls and some balls that don't rattle.
And those are really cute.
Mm-hmm. And
now, when you kept talking about dryer balls, maybe educate them.
Yeah, dryer balls are fabulous. They are one of our very best products. They reduce your drying time by 10 to 12 minutes a load. I did my testing in a smart dryer. I did the load 10 times, and with each with and without. So, and with the balls, they were 10 to 12 minutes faster. The dryer stops when it's done. So it was really a great test. So because I needed to know that they work, and they work very well. They do everything that a dryer sheet does, except without the chemicals.
Right.
And they save your dryer because you're drying less time with your dryer. And so and you can scent them with essential oils like lavender or lemon. And so it does everything a dryer sheet does without the chemicals. So these are one of our, you do want to use 3 to a load, because the way that they work is they push your laundry open, and that's how it helps aerate it and let your dryer work better. So that's why you need 3 or more. Many people that use dryer balls are using at least 3, maybe 4 or 5 or 6. They last about 5 or 6 years. Alpaca dryer balls. It's a very strong fiber.
And look how much you'd save, using
Yeah.
those nasty dryer sheets.
Yeah.
That's very good investment.
They are. They're great. They're one of our top sellers. Everybody loves those.
And then the bird's nest balls.
Oh, yeah, and the bird's nest. The birds will come, and we cut open the ends here, and then the birds can come and take the fiber out and build their nest. So it keeps the little baby birds nice and warm. You want to put these out in February because those birds come back really early. It's still really cold when they return, but they got to build that nest for the babies. So this is a really good thing. It attracts the birds without attracting the squirrels, and so that's another use of alpaca fiber.
And I'm really loving how you did with the turmeric and then the onions. I mean, this is just totally cool.
And we're growing pokeberry right now, which I'm harvesting for our October 29th dyeing class. We have one in the
we have so much at our house.
Oh yeah.
If you need any extra,
I do. Yep.
I have tons of it.
I can use it. I've employed my nieces to go around the farm and harvest the pokeberries.
Yeah, we have tons of them. They're going crazy.
Yep. So I can always use more. I love that color. So yep. All right, so here we are with the alpacas, and you'll notice in the background we have chickens and we've got goats. This is Mara. She's extra friendly. She's a sweetheart, and she's gonna run off. But every animal on my farm centers around alpaca, and what I've learned over the years is that there's certain threats to alpaca and I wanted to help reduce those. So we added fainting goats. They're Tennessee fainting goats, and they run here around the property. And with the alpaca, if we were to get a domestic dog, #1 killer of alpaca here in the US is domestic dog. And so if we were to get a dog to come on the property, the goats would be a likely target, and they would, everybody would run, but the fainting goats would faint. And so they would fall over, and then the alpacas can run to safety, and the goats are much tougher than alpaca. I'm going to tell you right now. Goats might survive a dog attack. The alpaca will not. So that's why I have them as a protection layer for the alpaca. I also have chickens and ducks. Chickens go through the manure, and they eat worms and parasites that might reproduce, and the ducks. The chickens eat go through the manure, but the ducks actually will eat slugs and snails. Vineyards use these to protect their grapes, but I use them to protect the alpaca from a disease called meningia worm, which is a spinal worm that infects all the deer here in Missouri. So deer will drop this, and the slugs and snails will carry it, and they'll walk over grass or whatever the alpaca might eat, and then it'll infect the alpaca, and it's almost 100% deadly. I've had 1 or 2 cases over the years that have actually survived, but it's pretty rare, and I haven't had any cases since I've been running the ducks. It's about 30 ducks that I run. And it helps me to reduce the medication, even though if you're a small alpaca farmer, I still advocate medication on your herds, because that will prevent it as well. But I just figure anything I can do to prevent that is good. Well, in the summer and the fall, I train horses, but I really started with horses because there is a particular parasite that is really deadly for alpaca. It's the barber pole parasite, and it affects the abomasum. There are alpacas and goats and ruminants. Goats and alpaca can both carry this. So if you're running goats and alpaca together, you really want to try to worm them or check them for worms quite frequently. But the horses, alpaca only poo in one area, and that area the grass will grow up and that'll be infected, and the horses will eat that grass, but they don't have that same stomach, so they don't get this parasite, and they annihilate it. So they are the number one protector for alpaca against, for me anyway, against this parasite. This helps keep my herd healthy. Many alpaca owners are concerned with running horses with alpaca, but normally I like to have 2 or 3 horses with every herd of alpaca. This is Nugget, saved Nugget from total starvation. He is one of my best horses. I absolutely love this boy, but I didn't know he was going to live for like the first month that I had him because he was so amazingly skinny. But he got a lot better, and he is very sweet and I think thankful that he's still alive.
All right, and I'm not standing uphill. I'm just happen to be the tallest guy standing on this side of the camera.
This is true.
So, guys, like we talk about these alpacas, he's a fiber guy, right? So, like, that's his main thing. He looks for the crimp. He looks for the genetics. And like our alpacas that we had, that's what they did too. So it was all about the fiber, all about the crimp, all about the genetics, the papers, the good bloodlines. So you were explaining to us earlier when we were like walking around the place about people that maybe want to get into alpacas and maybe have like 100 or 150 alpacas because you need that many to really have enough fiber, about the hierarchy of the group and about the males and how they would act. So you want to touch on that for a little bit?
And needing that amount for making money.
Yeah, that's what I said. Yeah.
Right.
That's really important because when you breed alpacas, you're going to end up with half girls and half boys, and you really want to pay attention to the personality of the boys you're breeding, because there are some boys that are very aggressive and some boys that are really placid, and that's if you end up, and if you do get into this and you end up getting animals, you're going to find that some animals have been bred that are very aggressive. So you're going to want to weed those out of your herd, your boy herd, or they're going to form a small group. About 1 in 9 boys will be aggressive, and you do hear different syndromes and such, but it just all pays back to aggression. And that in your boy herd, they're going to form groups, and they're going to start to harass and even become deadly for some of your other boys. They're
like West Side Story, like a game.
Yeah,
no, like Jurassic Park.
They will absolutely form a group, and that group will run around and they'll chase whoever they want to. It's a behavior thing. There's a few things you can do. You can geld them immediately. Write them down on a list and geld them immediately. Doesn't matter if they have good fiber. It's not worth it in the long run for you, I guarantee you, because you will lose more animals from that small group going around, and they will literally, unfortunately, kill each other. So you need to be very cognizant of that behavior and eliminate that behavior from your herd. If you do, you're going to have a nice, placid, peaceful boy herd, but if not, you're going to have a lot of trouble.
So a lot of people watch the videos and they're thinking about, like, stop working for the man, getting their own job, making their own living, making their own way. So what we like to do when we interview people like you and stuff like that is to kind of talk about what you did before you did this, and then since you've done this, like, how has it helped you, like, with your family life and being able to stay at home and just do something that you're passionate about?
Yeah,
what did Jeff do before, right?
Oh, that's a good point. Well, before I was an alpaca farmer, and we've had the farm in the family for a long time, but it wasn't as profitable, and that was really an important thing for me. We owned a graphics and advertising company for many years, and it was just a regular job. We worked really hard, but I wanted to do something with animals, and the farm, it really allows us to do that. And we wanted an animal that was going to be gentle to the ground. And alpacas are gentle to the ground. They don't disturb the grass. They grow the grass to turn the grass into fiber. And the average alpaca can produce between $300 and $600 worth of fiber a year. And so that's why we need the numbers that we need. In order to be a fiber farm, we need enough alpaca to produce enough income to live on. And that's but we liked alpaca because unlike cattle, where we were really looking at just straight meat market with the cattle, all we could do is produce cattle, and we would take them up to the sale barn and sell them, and that really wasn't producing enough income to live on. Whereas the alpaca, they can produce the fiber, because I just feel like that I look at them as partners for us. They turn grass into fiber, and I can make fiber into yarn, but I can't make grass into yarn.
Well, and all the fiber, it's like that gift that keeps on giving you. With the alpacas, like you were saying with the beef, if you take them and you sell them, you know, then they're done. So you can just keep using them year after year after year.
That's right, and that's a good point. The average alpaca will produce $10,000 to $15,000 of fiber in their lifetime.
So you say, like, you go to all the farmers market type things in Missouri, right, as many as you can. And you also mentioned, like, when we were looking at that machinery, because that's no joke. I mean, you have a couple of bucks invested in that, right?
Yeah, we do.
Yeah. But I mean, you started off, off with carting, table carters, and
yes, we did.
The basic, like, what do they call it, cottage industry type equipment, right? The spinner, the carter, and all that stuff.
We did. We started off with just tabletop carters and a drum carter that we did about 1 ounce at a time with, and that was really effective. And we went to the alpaca. We went to the farmers market and we sold our products there. And that's really how we developed a clientele.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. You know, we showed you the whole place. We gave you the operations from the alpaca to the fiber to the machines, end products, and this guy's doing the thing. I mean, we know him, and he's really in there. So, like, one of the things with Stacy and myself, when we had alpacas, we did a lot of the shearing and everything else, but we actually gave him all of our bags of alpaca fiber as well, because, you know, when you get to that end process, you know, like he was talking about, you have to go to like a co-op, and then we called and we got some information about that, but it really seemed kind of like a hassle. So if you could actually set up a system like he has, it's much better for your whole operation, and then you could see profits faster, you know, on your homestead. So hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. Again, all of his information is down below, Alpacas of Troy. Don't forget to check us out on
Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
And we'll see you guys on the next video.
See you guys. Hey guys, thanks for watching our video. You might want to check out these videos.
And if you want to become a homestead homie, click the picture of us below.
We will see you tomorrow.